Hey, Thrive Loud listeners, Lou Diamond here. We're doing something really cool this month, February 2022. We're pulling in some guests from some interviews that I've conducted on other podcast platforms and putting it into the Thrive Loud library, mostly because these guests thrive loud as well. And today's episode is no exception. We have Allan Houston, NBA great, and the founder of a company called FISLL. Really cool concept that he's put together. Check it out. Listen, Allan and I have fun conversation here, and sit back and relax and enjoy Allan Houston, pulled from the Why They Listen podcast here on Thrive Loud.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have been to the Great Wall of China. I have seen the pyramids of Egypt. I even witnessed a grown man satisfy a camel. But never in all my years as a sportscaster have I witnessed something as improbable, as impossible as what we've witnessed here today. It's Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond.
Want to learn from those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level? Best-selling author of Master the Art of Connecting and professional speaker Lou Diamond is here to connect you to some of the most inspiring and amazing people on the planet. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Today I'm joined by Allan Houston, former NBA All-Star, Olympic gold medalist, and founder of FISLL, F-I-S-L-L, a social impact brand with a powerful portfolio of leadership training, legacy development, and consumer products. Allan, how are you today?
I'm great, man. Lou Diamond, that's like a universal name too. You know, it's like you could be a performer, you could be an athlete, you could be a baseball player, you could be, a little bit of everything, man.
It just turned out that the only thing I could be was a good podcaster because I had a good voice. So Allan, I want to make this real focused here because I think you've created something, and you created it back in 2003. I want our listeners to get a real feel for it. What will be really helpful, because we'll go into all the other things that you've done in your playing career at some point, but I want to talk about this FISLL, and maybe what I want you to explain is what was missing from the universe. What was the void that was out there that made you want to create this idea? Because I think it's not only impactful, but I also think today it might even be more relevant than ever.
Well, a great question. I'm not sure if I could say what was missing, but I could say what I found. And what I found was that my relationships were very important growing up with my father, my parents, coaches, people who inspired me, people who taught me values, people who taught me principles, and just gave me a foundation for how I would define success. So I think what it really comes down to, life, so much of life is about relationships, and it's about how a person, we're human, right? We're human, and the human condition is one, it's faulty, but it needs the other human, right, to connect and to help us grow and be better and have an impact on the world and society. But what makes that human condition better? What makes us, our knowledge of ourselves better? What makes us, our inspiration go higher? And it really comes down to your highest values. And even John Lewis said it recently. I urge you to seek and find your highest value, the highest purpose in your heart. Find that and so for me, that's really what FISLL is about. I learned values and fundamentals of life from playing for my father as a coach, because I realized that if you're not fundamentally sound, you don't have a framework from which to operate, to see your perspective, and to judge yourself, judge your success, then it's gonna be hard. But if you do have fundamentals, then you can go as far as you want to go, because now it's up to the talent that you've been given. So we just translated that and transferred it to life, and not just basketball. And the biggest thing about values, having a value system, is unless you establish it and define it and find a way to apply it, then it's really not going to serve you. You're just going to be left with some good information. And so FISLL became a way for us to say, how can really provide young people the inspiration to find themselves, find their value, find something that's purposeful in life. Because when you're young, you're not really thinking that way as much. You just find it through something that's fun. But I truly believe that the sooner a young person can find that man, they can have a lot of impact. But it's really going to be up to the adult, really, who shows them that way, the mentor, the leader, the coach.
As Allan mentioned, adults and role models have been very prevalent throughout his life, most notably in that he played under his coach and father, Wade Houston, at the University of Tennessee, and graduated as the school's all-time leading scorer. He was drafted by the Detroit Pistons in 1993 and was signed by the New York Knicks in 1996, where he helped lead the team to the 1999 NBA Finals. In the year 2000, Allan was a member of the USA men's national basketball team that won the gold medal at the Summer Olympics in Sydney. Allan retired from the game in 2005 and was hired in 2008 by the Knicks as assistant to the president for basketball operations, eventually becoming the assistant general manager, and is still involved with the team as he is the GM of the Westchester Knicks, the organization's G League affiliate. Let's get back to hearing more about Allan and FISLL.
So I was also really motivated to have ownership of a company and a brand. Just felt like it just evolved into that, where this message needed to be expressed. I always liked apparel. I liked media. I liked kind of storytelling, interpretation. But the biggest thing is I liked teaching. My parents were teachers or coaches. So I really just combined all that, right? So now we have this powerful, life application of leadership and values through my mobile app. We have the thing that we're launching called the Huddle Guide. And the Huddle Guide is it's a digital tool for people to really connect with, not only in print, but just in a virtual way, an experiential way. Kids and people share content, share ideas. And then we have merchandise. So, we have this incredibly fun, and I think it's going to be really impactful social impact apparel and merchandising component. So they all kind of come together. They marry each other. When you participate in helping investing in yourself, you also participate in growing this apparel and its brand. And the one thing that we say is the outer should express the inner. So when you wear a FISLL product, and when you wear these values on your chest or your sleeve, on your back, whatever, we want you to recognize that you're trying to grow your inner through these values. And that's really what it's about. I'm extremely excited about it. When you're playing basketball, you see, this is my passion, this is my love, this is my purpose in life. And to find something after that or alongside it is very rewarding, especially when you can have ownership, right? And when you can kind of, scale it in some way according to the time you have and according to, trying to keep a healthy balance in life.
Yeah. For the listeners here, FISLL, faith, integrity, sacrifice, leadership, legacy. Yeah. I want to ask the question to you, Allan, and I agree with you, there's lots of people that can benefit from this value. Who did you really want to target? Who's the audience that you really wanted to connect to?
Great question. When I was 14 or 15, I was a good basketball player, finding myself freshman, sophomore in high school.
You were okay.
I was okay, but I love the game, but I was still trying to find myself. And, I found my relationship with God at that age, and it really helped me, but I still needed mentorship, right? I still needed, those role models. So to answer your question, it's really the adult, young adult impactors in society, those who really have, I think, a real impact on young people and old people. If you look at the civil rights movement, Dr. King was around 26, John Lewis was around 23. You have these younger athletes and entertainers, inspires. You have these college students. You really have, I think, a network of young leaders who, if when they're inspiring, right? So I think the direct, participant, consumer is that person who really understands they want to impact youth, they want to impact culture, they drive culture, and they're just impacting. Not to say that the younger person or the older person who is like me and middle age won't be impacted by this, because it really fits everybody. But I think those are the ones who really are at a really interesting point in life where it's exciting when they find purpose.
I think it's great. I think what's good here is you've actually done something really cool. You've got a core brand value of what this is about for a social impact brand. You've got your products and the things that people can wear that represent it, but you're actually creating a platform and that they can connect on. So I think this is really exciting. And this is where I want to dive down, because we're here at Why They Listen, which isn't just about listening, because when you listen, you are connecting. And I guess the best coaches connect to their students when they really listen and gather the value. So Allan, I guess the question is, tell me what type of content you're going to be able to provide them, so when they go there, they not only will get that value of the FISLL brand, but they'll get a chance to really learn and grow from that.
Well, I mean, I think of an interview, for example, at All-Star Weekend, we took my daughter with me, and we got a chance to go back at the NBA locker room to practice. And we got to interview a couple of players and ask them, which one of these 5 fundamentals mean the most to you? So just recently, I pulled up a video of my daughter interviewing and another student from Chicago interviewing Dame Lillard. And he talked about his faith. He talked about faith can hit you in so many different directions. It's belief, it's trust, it's goal setting, it's all these things. And now we're seeing this dude just knocked out 61 points, and so when you hear him talk about his faith, and you also hear how it connects and how it's expressed, not only on the basketball court, but you could just see it in his being and his demeanor. That's the kind of content that's inspiring to anyone, let alone young people. So, but the bigger thing is, we want people like Dame or whoever to not only express their faith, but to also be able to teach and share a young person, so that young person can be able to say the same thing to their peers, right? And I think that's the content. That's the content where you're. The thing about FISLL that to me is exciting is you're speaking to the youth and the adult. So I just had a book that I just wrote called The Fundamentals of Life, and in that book, I always was wondering, who am I actually speaking to? I'm literally writing and I'm picturing myself speaking, and the audience was never one demographic. The audience was the youth and the adult, the father and the son, the mother and the daughter, the teacher and the student. Because these principles they can talk about together. So the stories are basically connecting stories. It's a connecting language. So the content is so that you can listen to a young person, listen to your player, because you don't love somebody unless you're really listening to them, unless you're empathizing with them, right? And when you can listen to them, then you can understand them. When you understand them, then you can help them. And the principles of FISLL allow you to do both.
Yeah, I love this, because so now, and it's good because it isn't just the brand, it isn't just the topics. You're actually giving content and you're providing people to access it. Let's do that. Let's dive.
And let me say this too, Dilu, because the powerful thing about the app, the mobile application, is that students and people will be able to share theirs. So now you're receiving content and not just giving content, which is I think is really exciting as well.
It's awesome. And that's that segue I was going to go to here is, you're using a pretty cool platform and you got a good relationship, obviously, with it. Talk a little bit about it with our listeners so they can understand it, because it's still in the early stages, but it's obviously something to grow on here. And I think it'll be cool for our listeners to understand it. Yeah.
The one thing I've learned is, before the COVID and all this hits, a lot of people had, aspirations and visions and things and plans, right? And we had already had this plan to kind of have these virtual conversations. Zoom kind of exploded, but we were already kind of figuring out how to do these podcasts, inviting younger people, college students. And now this mobile application that we're doing is allowing us to kind of connect via Zoom, via virtual, have what we call virtual huddles. So huddles is a concept that I got from an organization called Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And they basically teach young leaders how to just express themselves, express their faith in a pretty intense environment. So we're going to start to launch this huddle guide, which will be really kind of a live digital magazine almost, where you do these virtual huddles and younger people and of all ages really connect on just like-minded thoughts, higher level thinking. I think society wants us to look at the news, look at what's going on, and just kind of succumb to like this depressing mindset. But we want to say, like, think about higher learning, think about a higher way you could see yourself and sit above the fray. And there are a lot of people who really want that, but you got to like kind of steer the conversation a little bit. And then they just kind of get inspired. So it allows us to have these virtual conversations and start these groups according to your interests, and then have a mobile application that allows us to form these groups. So, we may have a college, sports program or a college interest group, and we'll allow them to set up their own group, have group discussions, but really teach them how these values can really be applied in their everyday life.
I like it. You've created, look, anyone who's creating a specific content for a specific audience, but maybe most importantly, with a message that really connects with you and what you're all about. I mean, like, just the fact that the name FISLL is all the values of what you follow each and every day, which is not only amazing, but that means you get to live your passion each and every day. And you've created a forum where people could connect to that. It's got to make you feel good, no?
Man, it's so exciting. One of my mentors told me, like, just find something where you don't even feel like you're working. So now, like, conversations like this, or conversations with my kids, all these conversations and activity that I'm doing, whether I'm on the phone thinking about a design, or thinking about a piece of content, it still all flows together because it's something I'm passionate about, and it's something that inspires me. And just like you, why people listen, I like to listen. I like to listen to people because I know I'm going to get something. Every time somebody says something, I know I'm going to get something. I'm going to receive something that's valuable to how I can, live. And so that's what makes it all fun.
It's awesome. Let's do this. Let's do the plug part here. Tell people we'll put it all in the show notes. It'll all be there, but it always comes better, Allan, when they hear it from you. Tell them where they can go, the website, social media, stuff like that. We'll connect everybody, but once they hear it from you, they'll really engage. Yeah,
I appreciate it. FISLL, FISLL, Faith, Integrity, Leadership, Legacy. Leadership, Faith, Integrity, Sacrifice, Leadership, Legacy. So FISLL is, you can go to FISLL.com. And this is, early in the month, but going through the later on this month, you'll see some pretty cool product. You'll be able to get our huddle guide and start, digital focus groups, digital groups with yourself. You'll also be able to have some cool, we're working on a social justice, social impact apparel collection with the NBA, which is really exciting. I'm excited about that. And really just stay engaged. We're doing a lot in the digital media space, but follow us on Instagram. I'm Allan_Houston, FISLL, and our FISLL Project. So the FISLL Project is our foundation's initiative. So what happens is when people really start to engage, at some point they're gonna want to either be trained or take a deeper dive into how they can really work in their own school. If they're a teacher, if they want to work with their own sports team or organization, faith-based organization. And so our foundation's job is to go in and really help people be trained to facilitate these discussions and this teaching. It's almost like a coaching certification. So that's another thing that we find a lot of people who are working with, you're in leadership, you're in management, you're working with youth. It's just a passion, right? But you want to figure out, how can I get better? How can I use a tool? So we kind of have our foundation's role is to really take these leaders and really lock arms with them and really say, here's a way you can really, amplify what you're already doing.
I love it. I think you got a great product line. I've even got a chance. You're wearing the gear right now, which by the way looks awesome. I'm gonna have to get some myself because it fits right along with some comfortable stuff. I could not get through this interview without addressing a certain thing. Mostly, you mentioned, you have a close relationship with your father. I have a very close relationship with my dad,
That's awesome.
who's a big Knicks fan. Who, by the way, is still cheering about that shot against Miami where that ball bounced on the rim. I don't know how many times when you hit the winning shot. First of all, he wanted to know how you felt when you hit that shot. This is a shout out to him.
Man, probably the single most exciting moment in sports for me. Everything that had gone into the season, gone into, it's so much that I didn't really have a chance to process that went into that moment. From the time I was a free agent, and people were like, man, is he right? Is he too laid back for New York? And, is he getting paid too much? And then all of a sudden, like, yo, he's the man. And it's like all these things just kind of came to a head, and the intensity between, the playoffs, Miami Heat, the rivalry, the intensity of just going to Game 5. We had gotten to that fight, with the Heat and got suspended, and what I thought was the best season, or at least the best team I've been on 2 years before that. And just everything, just being a Knick, and that shot goes down, and then we go on and make it to the finals that year. It was very, very exciting, very exciting.
It was. We have a shout out here, by the way. While we were here, we joked before we recorded. I've gotten to get to know on my other program, Jamal Mashburn, who just said you're an awesome dude and a grounded individual. We have it here on video here. Jamal, shout out to you. Around the same time, I won't tell him that you had better stats than him. He just won't feel.
Well, I had this thing that I was having a conversation with my son about people who played back in a certain era who I would love to see play in this era.
Yeah,
right.
He's one of them, right?
Wow, man, he was one that I was just, because you don't even still see a guy to play, like, even with these bigger forwards and stretch fours, you still don't see a lot of guys like Mash, right? So
who could shoot from the outside and be that
do
big,
everything,
right?
could do everything, and so and he was, he had to play a role in those Miami teams, but yeah, Mash was a man. Well, even better now as a business person.
Yeah, he certainly is, and by the way, he's created the Mashburn Patino 2.0 with his son now going to play for his son out of Minnesota. So yeah, all that exciting stuff. Hey, continued success to you, to FISLL. This was great to have you on. We're going to keep monitoring where this program goes, and obviously what a great platform you've put together here. And again, man, any last messages to our listeners about, I guess, the importance of the program and to you?
Well, no, just keep pushing through these times. I think this is a time where, like, a lot of people are uncertain. But again, I think hopefully these values, especially the faith, the first one is faith. Like, we have to move past uncertainty, hope, and faith is like that energizer. It's that energy that moves, right? And moves our inspiration. And everybody's looking for integrity right now. Nobody knows what to trust, who to trust. Everybody has to make a sacrifice. And I think the leadership is the key, because we need real leaders to step out right now, especially training our young leaders to step out and teach them what, like, real morality and just justice really looks like. But we have to be the examples. So I just, keep pushing, keep striving for that higher level, living. The thing that we say, and you'll see it on our website, if you live better, you perform better, you can lead better, and I think that's really what we those things kind of all work together.
Last thing before we close out here, give a little 2 cents about the platform you're using. You're using Aimcast to make this platform tick. Let's hear.
Well, shout out to my man Steve Remlin and his one amazing family. Aimcast has allowed us to really almost customize this, you know what I mean? Because we've been talking about this for years. How do people can really express themselves? He was back years ago, podcasting and content creation and expressing your voice has always been something that he's been. And so now we provide learning and engagement, entertainment with that. And I think young people, they're just dying, people, you're dying to share their voice, but you gotta give your voice through the right lens, right, through the right language. And shout out to what you're doing, man. It's about listening. So yeah, I mean, I think this is. I'm excited about where this platform can go, because people can kind of really have their own almost channel and network in certain degrees in certain groups. So it's, man, everything to me is like, you envision something, and if you just stick to it, don't get frustrated, stay with it. Make sure your vision is pure, right? And it's out to really help people. I just believe God just takes it, and he takes it, and then he expands on it.
Allan Houston, truly an honor and a pleasure to connect with you today. Thanks for coming on Why They Listen. Really enjoyed our time together.
All right. Thank you.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.